I'd like to welcome you to BeMoreNews.com. Tony Garcia, how are you?
I'm doing fine, sir.
Haven't talked with you in a minute or two yet since you've been on the show.
We enjoyed our time on the show. We were very grateful.
Okay.
Hey, how are you? Yes, we had a great time on the show. Thank you very much.
Breaking news today?
Yes, today we found out the Baltimore City State's Attorney's Office charged Officer Vincent Coaston with second-degree assault as well as perjury in reference to the violent and vicious assault and beating of Colin Trust.
Known in the streets of Baltimore as the police beatdown at North and Greenmount.
Yes, that's what they say, yes.
Now, one officer was charged?
Yes, only one officer was charged. We have no idea why the other officers were not charged. One officer is holding his arms behind his back. If this is any other normal case in Baltimore City, both people will be charged. We can see no difference other than the two people involved in this case are wearing a police uniform.
Is this a rather quick turnaround for charges against a police officer? I'm thinking of multiple instances here in the city where officers went uncharged.
Well, I think what makes this unique...
I mean, this is an election time. We're in the middle of an election right now.
We are. And what makes this very unique is one, there's a video. Keep in mind, they've had the video since June, so no, this wasn't very quick. However, what happened is when we first brought this to the attention of the community, and the media did, that's when the community demanded justice. It wasn't until the community was demanding justice that all of a sudden the state's attorney's office decided to find out what was going on. So it's as if they now need to figure out and pick up the pieces because they dropped the hot potatoes, so to speak. They wish to sweep it under the rug, as they often do with a number of other issues. However, the community and the people would not allow that to happen. So it's not very quick at all. But now they still don't really do the job to the point they don't go far enough. They only charge second-degree assault and perjury, and only one particular officer. If they really wanted to send a message to the police, as well as the community, they would have charged all three officers, and they'd have charged Officer Coaston with the felony, first-degree assault.
So, officer, the first officer, the one charged, he will still get a paycheck?
Absolutely, because he was only charged with misdemeanor assault.
Do you think it was more than misdemeanor assault?
Absolutely. With that type of vicious assault, with that type of vicious striking repeatedly over and over again, our client was not unconscious on his feet. Before he could hit the ground, he was struck with a second blow of such force that it woke him back up. And that's why you see our client's staggering motion as he's trying to wake up and keep his balance before he can fall to the ground. This was terrible.
$70 million price tag?
Well, that's what we believe. However, we'd like to hear what the city has to say. We recognize that the citizens of Baltimore City are all in this together. We recognize, unfortunately, that the citizens of Baltimore City will be the one that have to pay the money. However, this is a situation where we're sitting there, we're willing to do what's right to make sure our client is taken care of. But one of the things I also want to bring to the community's attention is that Officer Coaston, from my understanding, will most likely receive a summons and just report to court. I do not believe he will be arrested. Does not look like he'll have to go before a commissioner and get a bail or anything like that. Why is it that citizens of the community, if they're charged with second-degree assault and perjury, they will be arrested? They will be taken down to central booking. They will have to sit in a cell, and then eventually bail will be set for them. Until you start to treat everybody the same, you will always have a split with the community and the police.
Counselor, what's your name?
Ivan Bates.
And the name of your firm?
Bates and Garcia.
Mr. Garcia, any final thoughts?
My final thoughts are this. The citizens of Baltimore have to stand up. They need to unify together. This is not a conservative, this is not a liberal issue. This is not a Democrat, this is not a Republican issue. This is an issue that affects each and every one of us. Personally, I'm glad that this is happening during an election year. Each person running for state's attorney should be out there now, commenting, telling the citizens of Baltimore how they would deal with a situation like this.
I take it you have a pick in this state's attorney's race?
I do. I think Russell Nevada will be a great state's attorney, and I'm sure that he would be fair in handling this matter.
Okay. Attorney, any final thoughts?
Well, I piggyback on what Mr. Garcia said as well, because when you sit down and you look at this, and with being an election year and looking at the office of the state's attorney, that is why it's so important to have an office that has had the experience to deal with police brutality. Because on one hand, if you don't have the experience, you don't necessarily know the charges. On one hand, if you don't have the experience, you don't know all the tools within the toolbox of all the different charges to charge everybody who's involved. And that's why I do think the citizens should really take the opportunity to find out who has the experience within this particular election. And I think for me, even though I don't have a dog in the fight, I know both candidates very well, but I also can tell you there's only one candidate, and that's Russell Neverdon, that has the experience.
I would just finally add, I just want to piggyback one last thing. Is that in a case like this, the state's attorney that handles this case, and it'll be past January before Officer Colson goes to trial. So it will be with the new state's attorney. So let me say this, the state's attorney needs to be able to stand up. There's a lot of pressure. The police department doesn't want to see something happen to one of their own. The city council doesn't want to expend so much money within their budget. So the state's attorney must be independent, must be somebody with experience and with the backbone to stand up to the other persons involved in government here.
As opposed to being very cozy with
Absolutely.
the other major elected officials.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Do you guys think if Bernstein had charged
Keep watching BeMoreNews.com.